Hey, Thomas.
Hello.
Hey, Thomas, how are you?
I'm good. Kind of chaotic morning over here, but all good.
I'm sorry.
I just returned from Anholt Lighthouse Island from Denmark.
Amazing, amazing. How was the journey?
Yeah, it was beautiful. We lived at the lighthouse keeper's house there,
Wow.
and there was no electricity, no internet, so it was wonderful.
So without
Wonderful.
technology, it's always a beautiful thing to be on the outside. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. There are not many places in the world anymore where the internet doesn't reach us.
True, that is so true, Thomas.
Yeah, and it's a shame.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So,
like,
Thomas, your new album, Bear Awakener, was out on April 14th. So can you tell me a bit about the making of this amazing album and the production behind this?
well, yeah, it was really a long process and very unusual in many ways. I've been studying these archaic songs that connect the Finnish people and the indigenous people in Siberia, mainly the Hanti and Mansi people. So I've been studying this music for over 20 years now, and on 2016 we did a bear feast performance here in Finland with myself and 3 other folk musicians, and this bear feast was something that I've been intrigued by it for decades. And the bear it's the biggest animal here in Finland, and the biggest animal in almost everywhere in the northern hemisphere where there are forests. So it also has a lot of mythology around the bear, and the bear ceremonies where they used to be crucial in my ancestors' time in how did they perceive the world. So it was a place where they sang the creation songs of the world and true myths understood their place in the world over and over again every year. So practically nothing could be more important in the life of my ancestors. So this is the reason why I've been fascinated by the bears for so long. And on 2016, when we did this bear feast performance, it was a 4-hour performance that included a lot of communal activities, eating together, dancing together, and these kind of things. But also this ritualistic aspect was there. There was one bear awakening song from the Hanti people that I had learned in Hanti language. And we had been practicing that the whole week there at the theater place. And on our premiere day, the bears in the Korkeasaari Zoo woke up a month too early, in early February. So this was very meaningful to me. Like I felt quite bad from disturbing the bears with the bear awakening song in a wrong time of a year, and so this opened a whole new connection between me and the bears and the nature, and shifted my thinking quite a lot. So from that day on, these bear awakening songs have been haunting me in a way that I have to dig deeper into them.
Amazing.
And now you have the result finally in this album. So it's been a long journey, and also involved a lot of research. So in a way, one could say that this album, the starting point of this album was in 1905, when a Finnish linguist, Artturi Kannisto, traveled to Siberia and collected these songs to the phonographs. So studying those phonographs and the poems he collected has been a main background work for this album.
Amazing, amazing. And looking back into the history, was there any particular connection between Finland and Siberia? How was this connection made between the two countries?
Well, yes, this is a big mystery. First of all, the Finnish language is a mystery still today. We are not quite sure where our language has originated. And this is a big question in many ways. Like if I think of the early scientists that went to Siberia, the first scientists were German, and they were interested on plants and animals and maybe plant medicine and such things. And also they were interested about finding out the best places to fish and hunt to colonize the whole Siberia. So the indigenous peoples were not very interesting to them. They were something more for disturbance, maybe, than something they were interested about. But when the Finnish scholars started to go to Siberia, they realized very quickly that certain tribes there, especially the Hanti and Mansi, they lived exactly the same way as the Finns used to live before Christianity. The hunting methods were exactly the same. You know, the way they made fishing baskets, for example, like very many details in the practical life was just the same. And also both cultures have a very rich tradition of poetry. So and then there was the bear myths also. The origin of the bear is exactly the same myth with the Hanti, Mansi, and Finnish people. So these connections made our scientists to approach Siberia in a very different way, because they understood that from these people they might understand more about ourselves and our unknown origin. So these big existential questions were there already in early 19th century. And I think there is this family relation. Like, of course, the Hanti culture is very different from Finland as of today. But we have so many similarities in the deepest layers of culture that cannot be an accident. So there has to be some kind of a connection there that we just don't know about.
Gotcha. And Hanti and Mansi tribes, the indigenous people, I know they are not so easily to go along with to learn about them. So you did a lot of research. So how easy was it, or how much struggle that you faced to understand them and to learn about their history and everything?
Well, in this respect, I am very lucky to be from Finland, because the Hanti and Mansi in general, they value this ancient relationship with the Finnish people. So I was very welcomed all over in those communities. Just alone from being from Finland. So they would definitely react differently to American or German coming over there. But they remember also this connection that we have. And they also value very highly in those communities the early scientists from Finland who traveled there in early 20th century. And so their work is known among the Hanti people and respected. And also a very important way for myself as a musician is that you know, many scientists they approach the indigenous cultures with questions and with something they want to find out about them, not necessarily that they want to learn something about themselves. So as a musician, my approach on how to meet them was very similar to how a musician meets another musician. So it's a different place than this political place of meeting with identities and troubled histories. And already in my first trip, I had learned Hanti songs from the archive material. So I went to them with my violin asking that, hey, I've learned this Hanti song. I want to play it to you so you can tell me what if I got it right. So this is a very different way of approaching a foreign culture than you know, coming with a research plan of these questions I need to find out. You know, so it's a very different approach. And a lot of times people were surprised that I knew their songs and had understood something about their music already before being there. So it actually went formed very deep relationships, friendships with these people very quickly, thanks to music.
Amazing, amazing, Tuomas. And talking about this album, I have to be honest, a great album, amazingly done, beautiful workout on the composition, the orchestration, everything was perfect. And it has a very deeper thing, like we humans, I know we all, our past, our prehistoric ages take us back to the wild and all those places which are very close to the dense forest and things like that. So when we started listening to the song, the senses immediately connects us to those kind of things into our brain. So it was done super amazingly. Thank you so much for that one. And how do you feel about what you have done in this album?
Oh, thank you for those words, because that's exactly what the album is intended to. It's intended to connect us with something greater, something larger than our human affairs. And there is also a technique to it. Most of the music we listen here in the West, what we hear from the radio, it's in steady tempo, going in 4/4 signature. So that is great music for dancing and for solidarity and for working and for working together and with all kinds of these things. That tempo is very good, but it's not a tempo that would allow us to go to the deeper layers of our consciousness. So with these songs, they are very simple songs in a way that they only have a few notes and very simple melody lines, but they are constantly changing a little bit. So nothing repeats exactly the same twice, and that's what makes it so complex at the end. So with very simple and few elements, you create an endless variation that just keeps going on. And rhythmically, it's also often not in the 4/4, but in some kind of a free meter that allows your consciousness to go to the deeper levels, to the dreaming levels, and also opens our being to the nature. And so I'm very happy to hear that it worked for you, for someone coming from an entirely different culture and landscape than where these bear songs are coming from. So that's a meaningful thing for me to hear. And I am very pleased. I think this is the first album in my whole career where I feel that I didn't have to make any compromises. Especially with the special edition. I don't know if you've seen it, but the special edition is like this. So it's, this is linen fabric. So it's a little bit like an old book.
Yeah.
And then there's also a handmade booklet, with like the binding is done by hand. Wow. For it, and I also made this kind of little biological. This is the riippunaava, a type of lichen that grows in the northern forests. So a lot of love went into this, and a lot of affection. So I wanted to create something that that these songs feel safe and love to be, so it's not about me, it's about the songs, that the songs feel good in this, inside of this box, and I'm very happy how it turned out. The Karoliina Pärnänen was the graphic designer from Finland, and I was looking for someone who's not just a graphic designer, but also a craftsmanship, who can do things by hand and has this craftsmanship value to the work. And I'm very happy with Karoliina, how everything turned out. It really looks beautiful and honors the tradition.
Amazing. It's totally amazing, Tuomas. And do you have any plans to go on a tour to support this album?
Yeah, I do. Things are still a little shaky after the COVID. I just played there at the Anholt Island. And this is something that I look forward very much in my future, is to play for small communities in nature locations. So again, to play in places where these songs fit perfectly, so that I don't have to put on an artificial technology show around the songs to kind of deliver their message, but to be somewhere in nature where these qualities are around already. So, and also I value the idea of bringing art to small communities, whether they are, in Lapland or indigenous people, or the Anholt Island that has, 130 inhabitants year long. So this is something that my heart really beats to. But also there will be some festivals. I'm playing in Sweden in the last weekend of July, and here in Finland in a few places. And hopefully in next year, this could find its way abroad to play outside of Scandinavia as well. As for now, most of the shows I've been playing have been inside of Scandinavia. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland. But this is also a little bit because of the COVID. It's been easier to arrange things in the neighboring countries than further away.
Sounds good. And how does the future look for you with this kind of concept? So do you have more interesting things to bring into your album, or more different things that you have learned from these people to put up in your future album? So how is it going to be for the future?
Well, at this point, it's really, I wish I would have a crystal ball. We are in such a critical situation in the world, and Finland is very much affected by the Russian invasion to Ukraine, and you can see it here in almost in our daily lives. So these I really wish I would have a crystal ball to look into the future and plan better. I'm afraid that we are still facing most unpredictable times in the near future, and the reason for it being is that I would think that this album is part of the bigger answer to the world problems, because we need to go back to the myths, and we need new myths, new kind of myths that actually have a better outcome to the world than the myths which by we live today. So this is definitely what I will keep on working in the future as well, connecting ancient and future, and being kind of in a mediative point there, bringing back some of the forgotten myths and debunking some of the myths that do not work, and also seeking to create new myths, the myths of tomorrow, that maybe are not about superheroes anymore, but more about some kind of collective, community-based actions that actually sustain life, rather than compete with the nature forces.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you also are part of Korpiklani, an amazing band again. So how do you find time to work along on Korpiklani as well as on your solo project?
Well, that is indeed most difficult, and right now I'm finishing my PhD, and the COVID hit Korpiklani in a very crucial place. We were in 2019, we were really at the top of our game. Like, the band was playing in a highest level it ever was, and we were just about to kind of enter a bigger world with Korpiklani, which all went down together with the COVID. And to me personally, I find it very disturbing to travel in 2020 and 2021, and it created a lot of stress for me. So I needed time for myself to go deeper within and see where am I needed the most. So this led to the situation where I've been actually taking time off from Korpiklani now for this year. So Olli Vanska from Turisas have been playing a lot of the Korpiklani shows this year. So the answer is that this year I could not find time for both anymore. So after I've done my PhD, then we'll have to, which is by the end of 2022, I have to finish the PhD. So after that, we'll have a look at where the world is and how does things look at that point to see how shall we continue. But the future is open in so many ways at the moment. So it's better not to predict.
True. True. And being one of the successful violinists, so do you also take students? Do you take classes for the students?
Do
you take classes? Do you teach students for violin?
Yeah, here at my hometown in Kokkola, I do teach at the local conservatory, and I don't have many students, but I like to take those students who don't really fit in to the program. You know, I like the students whose creativity is somehow in a struggle, that they don't quite find their place in the world. So those kind of students are very dear to me. So I tend to have a couple of students per year, and it's so rewarding to kind of be helping a unique individual to find their unique path in life. And when they you know, get their self-confidence in doing something that has never been done before, that's the most rewarding thing for me as a teacher. So yeah, so that's how I teach here.
Amazing, amazing. And there's a lot of message that has come through the Bear Awakening album, but do you have anything that you want to tell to the fans around the world?
Well, first of all, I am so thankful for the opportunity to do this, because you know, this was funded by an Indiegogo campaign, and the success of that campaign really made this possible. Like and also I had this wish that because we are going too fast in the world, you know, like on our cell phones we have these swipe left, swipe right, or click like or not. So we tend to look at the world from the perspective, do I like this or not? And very quickly make a judgment of liking something or not liking. And oftentimes we've spent our days there scrolling to the social media, and we haven't actually seen anything we like, but we just kind of feel that it was nice to hang out there, you know. So to me, this was about having this anticipation for the album, and I totally fell in love with this pre-order, that people pre-order the album and not quite know what's coming, but then they enter this long anticipation, long waiting for it. So when it finally arrives, it has value already. You are beyond the question if I like it or not, but you enter to the place where you think that how, you know, how can I be transcended by this? You know, what can I learn from the world through this that I now have finally at my hands? So I'm very thankful for all of the fans who pre-ordered the album, made it possible, and also who have given me this feedback that the album works differently to them because of this anticipation, because of this long waiting for it. So that's the most important thing as now, that I'm really happy to see how it is actually working for the fans, that they actually receive it the way that it was intended to be received.
Amazing. Amazing, Thomas.
Yeah, yeah.
And, and, and you have almost spent the last 20 years in learning about all these indigenous people, their culture, and a lot of things you have learned. There's a lot of things that you have kept in your hand now. So do you like to do some kind of documentary where a lot of people can know more about these things as a visualizer, or probably like a movie kind of thing where they can understand a lot about these people and the culture? Is there any chance of that happening in the future?
Well, I've been dreaming about something like that for a very long time. So maybe it, I hope it is one of those dreams that will actually come to reality. And there are actually two projects that one is about the laments, the crying song tradition that has helped thousands of people. So to do some kind of an online course about the laments, so that people could access that healing way of being in a song and cry, to help that spread over the world. So that's one of the dreams. And another dream has been exactly what you were hoping for too, that I would do a documentary where I travel back to these places and have these conversations with these people. So and maybe play together and record other indigenous musicians playing. And so it would really be beautiful to have this kind of a documentary series of different locations in the world with different meaning and usage towards music, because music is so much more than entertainment.
It's true.
And I think we are at the place in the world where we are ready to access, to return those deeper meanings of music.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hmm.
Amazing. And Thomas, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to talk about the album, the amazing music that you have created. And moreover, it's like an awakening for us human beings, the relationship between us and the nature. So thanks for
Yeah.
being us, and let the whole world know that what we are missing, what was the missing link, and try to connect us all together to the nature and the real world. Thank you so much for doing that. And I wish to see more and more great things from you in the near future. And I wish you all the
Oh,
best.
thank you. Thank you, Keith. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure to Thomas.
And let me know when this comes out so I
Surely,
can share it as well.
surely,
So
Thomas, I will do that. And you have a good day. And thank you so much for your time again, Thomas.
thank you, Keith.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.